Welcome, everybody. Nice warm evening compared to what we've had. If we could have roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Here.
Alderman Mayberry.
Present.
Alderman Spargattis.
Present.
Alderman Collinaire.
Present.
Alderman Parker.
Here.
Alderman Shipp.
Here.
Alderman Geenan.
Here.
Mayor Chomes.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. If we could do the pledge. Moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Item number 5.
Minutes of the December 18, 2017 meeting and the December 28, 2017 special meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Second.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.
Minutes of the executive session of December 18, 2017.
Motion to approve the minutes of the executive session minutes as amended.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Oh, any discussion? Excuse me. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7.
State of the City Address by Mayor Mike Chomes.
So sit back and relax. And so I want to thank the Kiwanis. Oh, wrong one. But so I would like to start off as it's my honor to be able to serve the citizens for the past 250 days or so. Sitting around this table, we have a strong team of elected officials, very diverse, strong-willed, and they have to at times make some tough decisions and set the direction of the city. And I want to commend them. They've done a wonderful job so far, and so thank you. As you may be aware, there's been some changes in personnel in the City Hall this last year or so, one being with Randy Tweet being appointed the permanent city manager. We had Larry Cook being appointed as the Public Works Director. And several other new staff have started with the city within the last year and a half. Whether it be Chandler Poole and some people in his staff, as an example. And so, and then you take up here in the city council. There's 3 new council members and myself, so 4 of us up here in front have been a change. So, with all that together, it does add some challenges, but yet some exciting times in the future. So, that's great. Unfortunately, though, that last July here, we lost former Alderman Chuck Austin. Passed away, unfortunately, untimely. He served as alderman of the 7th Ward over 13 years and was a very good volunteer, tirelessly working not only for the city but for the community that he served, that he lived in. His commitment to Rock Island will be greatly missed, and wish his wife the best. So I wanted to make that comment. Then what I'd like to do is be able to go through each department at this point and talk about some of the things that each department's accomplished, and see where that leads us into then 2018. But with that, let's start with the police department. These are in no specific order, but the police department implemented body cameras in 2017. One of the first in the Quad Cities to do so. Davenport just has started implementing theirs and wearing that one. That process took a while to implement and started actually before this council even was seated, but was implemented. And so, once again, this will help them with their investigations. It works on transparency, making a lot more people feel comfortable, both on the citizen side and the staff side, of what transpires. So I think it'll help eliminate some cost, time, and interpretation of issues. So it's a great asset. They also started conducting monthly crime prevention partnership meetings. They use the community room at the police station and pick topics each month and review that with the citizens, giving the citizens an opportunity to bring up questions, feel comfortable about different issues, whether it be with crime, whether it be with how the patrols, the beats work, how the community involvement, et cetera. But it is a good way to partnership and work with the citizens. And when I'm going to use the word partnership, you hear it now, you're going to hear that quite a few times throughout the talk here, because I think it's a great theme that has happened in the past, but it's been strengthened in 2017 and hopefully even further in 2018. But with this, I got to make mention that violent crimes have decreased again by double digit. This is several years in a row. We've been able to decrease major violent crimes, and I think it speaks a lot for the police department and some of the things that they've been doing. Once again, we've completed all the training to have a certified detective to conduct forensic analyst of digital data. Once again, the new data, the new age today with cell phones and laptops and that sort of thing, this can be an important part of what goes on in life. To be able to know how to use those instruments and this data in investigations. And so it's important to be not only educated in it, but certified in it to be able to, if need be, used in court and to get to the bottom of some issues on a quicker basis and be sure what's happening. So this will obviously save time and money for the police department and speed things up. So once again, a kudos. Assigned an officer to Drug Enforcement Task Force in 2017. This has been going on for quite a while, but once again, I talk about partnership and everything else. This is done throughout the Quad Cities. It's a collaborative, all the departments working together to fight against the drugs that we have, unfortunately, out in the street. They continue to make headway, and you've read in the press here recently some nice large ones, I guess, and not that you're glad that they're large busts, but you'd like to see those type of things taken off the street and worked with. And so we stay involved with that. We had an officer, Ryan DeRitter, that was honored as the 2017 Police Officer of the Year at the annual Knights of Columbus Civic Awards. Once again, great to see recognition by individuals, their commitment to not only the department, but the city and their career that they've chosen. And so it's somebody recognized them, and that makes it well worth it. Moving on to the fire department, we have, they conducted operations with prom for both Rocky and Almond. Once again, I continue to use the word partnership and working with other entities, but by the police department working with the schools and making sure that the proms that we send our sons and daughters and granddaughters and grandsons to, that they're safe, that they have a good environment to be with. There's somebody looking out for the well-being. Is a great thing to have. You hate to see those type of amenities or those things go away at schools because of some bad story or situation, and so the involvement in partnership is wonderful. We had 3 members completed training to be certified as fire investigators. Once again, being certified takes some extra effort. They continue to work with the training and keeping the firemen up to date on everything. Once again, this being certified in investigation continues to save time, save money, and get things done on a more efficient basis. And it adds depth to the department. The more training you have, whether it be EMS and that sort of thing, to have the depth to be able to call on different officers, because you do have turnover, you have people retire, and to have these people trained is a worthwhile endeavor. We also had a gentleman, fireman, Justin Wolvert, was honored at the 2017 Firefighters of the Year at the annual Knights of Columbus Civic Awards ceremony. So once again, recognizing a fireman for his commitment to the city and to his trade. Received a 2017 EMS Bronze Award from the American Heart Association. Once again, we're getting out there, and we're not just this quiet little town. We get recognition from a number of different agencies, and so this makes a big difference in the community in involvement. Speaking of involvement, once again, the fire department partnered with the Red Cross of the Quad Cities, Sound Alarm Campaign. If I remember right, I believe that I think they were going to install and pass out a lot of free smoke detectors. Got a little delay due to some bad weather, but eventually got done. And I say free. It didn't cost the city any money, short of the time and involvement, but working for the safety of the citizens of Rock Island and helping install these and making sure that people are safe. And there's no doubt it's a proven fact that the smoke alarms save lives. And so we're continuing to work out there. Sometimes, once again, with the fire department or the police department, you think of the crimes, you think of the fire is what they do, but they do a lot more than just that. Let's do preventative stuff versus just reactive. And so they're doing that. The department was also designated as the Weather Ready Nation Ambassador with the National Weather Service of the Quad Cities. Getting involved in a lot of areas. Weather can be a major factor throughout the city, not just the fire department. We also did a major milestone and adopted the 2015 International Fire Code. Council up here did that a little while ago. Brought us up from, and boy, I tell you, 2009, I think we were in the codes or something of that sort. Brought us up to current times. You know, you look at that and you say, current, wait a minute, it's 2018. That 2015 is 3 years behind already still. But fire codes and building codes take a while to get renewed, especially any major changes, and this is one major leap in it. And I guess I'll talk later on how this blends together and works very closely with the building codes that we adapted. Moving on to the Parks Department, and boy, I'll tell you, they got the word on partnership. Hallberg Center, you take that and look at the private-public partnership, and they signed an operational agreement with the Friends of Hallberg. And if you haven't visited up there or seen it in some way or heard, they've done a wonderful job at the things they've done in bringing back life to that building. They've done
Mayor, I would just add, they just hired a new executive director to run that organization.
Yes, they did. And so they did things like tuck pointing, landscaping, refinishing floors, painting, plumbing, a number of things. And now we're working on the carriage house, and you know, so it'll continue. But they're using dollars that we did not have, that they found and were able to acquire, along with volunteer hours. Great partnership together, and brought life to a tired building and helping reestablish some history. Douglas Park is another example of the same type of thing with a public-private partnership. They completed projects of refurbishing the large ball diamond, some new turf, irrigation, put some new playground equipment down there. That was none, and put some playground equipment down there. Once again, keeping kids involved and in opportunity to do something besides going and wandering around. You know, some good exercise and everything. There's a lot of people that got involved with that. Once again, volunteering time and dollars, and being able to bring back, once again, a tired park that was needing some help. I guess I mentioned actually earlier today about a great baseball game that was played there as kind of opening deal against Rock Island and Almond. Being a Rocky grad, I got to say yes, Rock's won, but so I'll give them a little cheer out here. But also there in Douglas Park, you got to remember the first NFL football game was played at Douglas Park. Boy, there's nothing more than I know that I would like to see, taking the old fire station down there, make a little museum out of it for the firemen and the NFL, and get someone to maybe do some virtual reality of reenacting the football game and making a tourist attraction down there. And I think that's all possible, whether it happens in 18 or 19, but I think that's very possible to happen, that we help that be a great tourist attraction and bring more activity there. Hodge Park had the oldest equipment out there, the swings and everything else. They got that all replaced. So we're continuing to try to take the oldest stuff or the stuff that's breaking and get it refurbished and or replacing it and making sure that it's safe for I'll say the kids. I don't mind swinging once in a while either, but it's great to see that we're cycling back around and keeping things fresh. Highland Springs, Yeah, once again, another partnership here. They partnered with the first tee of the Quad Cities to develop a par 3 course and work with the youth in golf. Once again, I guess if we keep the youth involved, whether it be arts, music, sports, it's proven that they do much better in school. And so if we can find activities like this for them to do, it's very healthy and helps with the future. So once again, that partnership between those two organizations throughout the Quad Cities with that. I can continue to partner with the Park and Rec. Partnered with Martin Luther King Center, the Boys and Girls Club, for a day camp. The organizations pooled together their resources, and get this, they served over approximately 300 kids, the park did, with those organizations and helping with the summer camp. Once again, keeping the youth, and I say kids, and whatever age you want to pick, keeping them busy and exercising and trying to be healthy and productive. They hired a new individual, special events and fundraiser manager. Dan has done a great job. I get a chance to meet him several times. But he was able to find some grants, once again, to help some private money with the parks. But, boy, if you don't remember, but I sat up here almost every week announcing the music in Lincoln Park. Free music, good music, great time to sit and enjoy the family up in Lincoln Park. And that was brought forth by the park board with some of these new events. Partnered with the district in some events. They came together with the district and put on several events down at Schriever Park, not just up in the district area, utilizing that park, and found, like I say, another partner to share resources with. Another thing they've done is looked at cost savings, and they've saved quite a bit of money over the last several years and their management and refocusing different areas. But what they did is they also looked at energy, and they went through there and reduced the energy by 40%, putting whether it be LED lights or whatever it is, different aspects, reviewing the RIFAC building, and saved the city and their taxpayers a fair amount of money by looking at those things. Spend some, in this case, you spend a little bit up front, but you get to pay back in the long run. 40% is a nice savings to have. And so actually we hopefully in the future here take a look at further in the city properties to be able to do the same thing. Once again, they partnered with the Moline Parks and Rec. They do not have a facility like the RIFAC, and had some facilities or some programs they'd like to put together. So the two organizations worked together and put some programs and events together. And so we worked with the sister city here next door, and sharing the facilities, sharing the people and the resources to be able to keep, once again, kids and family both, and especially if you can keep the family unit together, it makes a big difference, and use of a building that we are fortunate to have. So they had a number of opportunities here that they've seized in partnering together. IT, informational technology. I can kind of have fun. Tim's around the corner, can't see me, but what can you think about exciting with IT, right? Well, they work behind the scenes on a number of things. Introduced a new website, that offers improvements for mobile users. Phones are very popular these days, iPads, tablets, and to make things adaptable to those tools is very important, especially in youth today. I struggle with some of them myself, but but it's very important, and so they worked with that to keep it up to date, cool, and worthwhile and easy to use. They made enhancements to the agendas that we put out, YouTube streaming, this event, and to make it live, easy to get onto for people to see what's going on. Online police reports, making it once again convenient for the citizens to either see reports or make reports, etc. And encouraging transparency, easy access, navigation. Once again, very important to stay on top of things. And when we're trying to attract citizens and people and help them, this makes a big difference. We replaced a number of cameras, existing cameras that we had, along with adding some in some neighborhoods. Continue to add for safety in a number of areas. Enhanced security remains a key focus. We've talked about hacking these days and a lot of different firms, that sort of thing. So that's very important to stay on top of that and not get lax. So they've been busy behind the scenes helping people out, the citizens, and making sure their tax dollars are spent wisely. Human resources. There's a couple of these departments I got to say, once again, what's exciting in HR, you know? But, they held a 7th annual benefit and wellness fair in partnership with Rock Island County. This was primarily for the employees of the city and the county. But as we all know, in running businesses and working businesses, that the environment you have for your employees and the benefits you offer are very important for retaining people and for the wellness in the future. And so these are worthwhile to have. And once again, it's partnership with another public entity that we can share resources. Open the Wellness Center, once again, in partnership with Genesis. This saved the city $173,000 working with them and opening this wellness center. And so that could make a difference. And once again, thinking about this taxpayers' money. They were actually commercial insurance. We know about health insurance a lot of times going up. So does commercial insurance and property and everything else. They were able to maintain a flat rate as far as that goes. So it's good negotiations and working with and modeling that sort of thing. So they're controlling costs. Martin Luther King Center. They received the Illinois Governor's Hometown Award this past fall. And once again, kudos to get some recognition by the state and things that they do for families and children there. They added a family advocacy program. Once again, we talk about helping children, we talk about the seniors and everything else, but keeping that family unit together can be very important. Actually, sometimes more important. There's not enough time spent together. So working families together and giving them opportunities and being an advocacy to work with them and help them is very important. And so this is an additional area of program that they did. They held their first annual. I guess I don't know if it's considered first annual or not, if it's an annual. Second one maybe be annually, I don't know. But they had an annual legislative breakfast. Once again, bringing the elected officials together with the citizens, an opportunity to communicate back and forth both ways, hearing what's happening in the state, what's happening in the cities and the counties, along vice versa, back and asking questions so they can hear what the citizens are talking about and wanting to hear. And so they take this further in trying to bring it out to the community, like the police department did with their monthly deals. The Martin Luther King Center is helping bring the politicians to their community and an opportunity to learn. Library. They, once again, developed a partnership with Augustana College, Thomas Treadway Library, building a partnership and sharing resources that way. Very important. Augustana is a great institution in Rock Island, has a wonderful facility there, and be able to share those resources can make a major difference for the users of the libraries, both at Augustana having access, of course, to the city library and vice versa. Renewed their partnership with Milan Blackhawk Area Public Library District. We have a library branch out in southwest Rock Island. We look at cost and everything else. That library is 100% financed by the Milan Blackhawk Area Public Library District. So we manage it, but they finance it. And so it's not at a cost to the citizens of Rock Island. But yet there's amenity for them to use. Memberships in the library have gone up. The trends are upward, which would tell you, we're doing something right. People are wanting to use it, take out memberships, and work with it. So great for them. Finance Department. Once again, I got to say this a little bit like some of the others. What's excited about finance? Stephanie looks up. But, they received the Government Finance Officers Association Award, so the GFOA Award, for the audit of 2016. We won this award. And also for the 2017 budget, before some of us sat here at these seats. So there was good financial watchdogs at that time working for the city, and we're able to get these and sound practices and put in place to receive these awards. So that speaks. You know, we still have, and I don't know if I can't remember in the rest of my speech, but we still have a good rating with bonds. We have an A1 minus, top quartile of bond rating. And so they've been able to maintain that and keep the financial status of the city in a very stable condition for the future. Public Works Department. A number of things here. I won't get into all the devils of the detail of locations, but there was 4 major street reconstruction projects. Reconstruction is tearing everything down to to at least down to the base, if not farther. As most of you know that have been up here for a while and then have heard in the news and everything else, when we, a number of years ago, we had to start separating the stormwater runoff along with the sanitation sewer. And so when they tear and do these major reconstructions, a lot of times they have to dig down deeper and work on those projects. It's expensive, it takes a lot longer, and so you can't do as many of them as we used to be able to do. But it's important that we do it. Once again, I know the city council up here are familiar with this, but for those listening and that sort of thing, this is toward the end of a large project, a $70+ million deal with the separation. And as they continue to work in the streets, they'll keep that separation. But that project is less tasking as it used to be for the city of Rock Island. But there was 4 major street projects. They did $600,000 worth of concrete patching, taking the concrete down to the subbase and starting over. But once again, it saves from the major cost of tearing the whole road up and can extend the life of that street by not just resurfacing and having to tear that up, but and tearing the whole thing up, but to be able to isolate certain patches. And so we're taking a look at cost-effective ways to extend the life of a number of roads through just this concrete patching, but going down to the subbase where there's problems. Another opportunity they had is several years ago. They started this process, not too many, hot in-place recycling program. I know that most of you up here, we've talked about it else, but the public, it's a very interesting thing to take a look at. They can only use it on certain roads. They already have asphalt or that type of a coating on them where it actually will peel up or melt up some of that, grind it up, heat it up, recycle it, and lay it back down. And it's a very cost-effective way of sealing the moisture out of the roads and creating extra life to them, but at a lot less cost than tearing it all up in concrete. And so it's been working very well, and they've been able to take care of more miles, so to speak, than we would have financially because of the cost savings issues that they have with that. So it was a great forward thinking and looking for out-of-the-box thoughts with this process. Implemented a new sidewalk program. We used to have a 50-50 program where the citizen paid 50% and the city paid 50%, or the business, and that was gone away with. The city replaces it and the cost all by themselves. But with that, it's interesting that we've had some partnerships. The Rock Island Schools, we partnered with a lot of the sidewalks in some of their facilities. They paid for part of it. They paid for the materials, we paid for the labor. So we shared the cost. Once again, partnering together. And so I think actually, I'm getting mixed up, but I think with Almond, by Almond, I think we were doing something also. Big project that they have not coming up, it started. It won't be completed until August of 2019, so it's going to be ongoing for a while. But is a new water treatment filtration plant. This plant's 100 years old. Hasn't had much attention since then. We are going to be totally replacing that at a cost of around $19 million. A lot of money, but it did come in under budget, what we planned on, which is positive. But like the energy savings we talked about with RIFAC and everything else, this will help us be a lot more efficient in the future. The chemicals that we need to add and work with could be reduced. The energy efficiency of pumps and other facilities that it requires, that we can continue to offer good quality water. We have that now, but it takes a lot more effort, and we can do it a little more automated and efficiently in the future, and hopefully for the next 100 years that we can let them deal with it after that. So those are positive things. You know, there was other partnerships that they worked with. Internally, the partnerships that Public Works with parks and did a lot more of sharing of equipment and projects. The library, when they were, or not the library, but Hallberg Center, when they were working on the projects up there, sending equipment up there. So there was a lot more interdepartmental partnership working with different ones. But you know, another interesting with the city of Moline. Shared a project with the city of Moline in the Wildwood District. There was a street that needed to be replaced. Half the street was in Moline, half was in Rock Island. We bid it together, used the same contract, and saved each one some money. So we worked together in partnership, all at the same, worked at the same time, and replaced this project cheaper than it would have been if we would have worked independently. And so continued to work with those type of relationships with our sister cities. Community Economic Development Department, as I mentioned before, implemented the 2015 building codes. Once again, I touched on it a little bit on how the fire codes and building codes integrate so much. The materials they use in buildings these days, and if you adapt the codes, are different than they used to be a number of years ago. And so things can burn faster, can burn differently, and so you have to do, and it's important to implement these two things together. Because when they built these, they've had that in thought at the state and the federal level. It's very important that we adapted both of these together along with the sprinklers in residential homes for, once again, working with safety. Very big move. We're also working with the cities around us to try to be all in the same codes together for the benefit of the contractors, working together with that, along with sharing building inspectors. We do. We've had several agreements signed with commercial developments throughout the city, so you can look forward to those in the future. We hope that all comes to fruition, and helping with the revenues of the city. So they've been busy working with different agreements with developers. We closed on several retail projects, the Healthy Harvest and some others. And I'm not going to go through the whole list of all of them, but there has been some additionals that they've been working on, and some in the future. Eliminated some blight. We have, unfortunately, some blighted properties, both commercial and residential, and they worked on getting rid of some of those. Unfortunately, there's still some more, but this helps further development, helps encourage people in the neighborhoods to then invest in their properties and feel like they're going to get a good return on their investment. So that's very important to continue to work on. These are also health hazards and other problems, so it's very important to try to eliminate some blight. We also need to work on keeping historic issues. Working with Public Works on several street projects. Old Mill Street down in Industrial Park area. City Public Works had the time and the resources, and CED had the financial resources, and so they pooled their efforts together to help out a business district that needed some street repairs. It had been pretty bad for a good number of years. Also working with up on the hilltop, right across from Cool Beans on 14th and 30th, a little urban park up there. There was a unfortunate fire up there that destroyed a building, and we were able to turn a small area into a very usable, friendly neighborhood park for the future. So they worked together with Public Works and CD. Committed more involvement with neighborhood engagements. They've committed to have city staff be involved with all the different committees and neighborhood organizations that we have. Along with, at this point, we're going to be creating a couple new ones, and I'll talk about that in my stuff for 2018. They conducted a number of housing property management inspections, like 4,000 inspections for property management, 2,300 building inspections, issued 2,900 building permits. Now, the permits are not always just brand new buildings. They're remodels. You got to remember the electrician's going to take out one and the plumber's going to take out one. But that's still quite a few building permits and remodels. People are making investments and reinvestments in their property when you hear that number. Conducted over 750 health inspections. So once again, making the citizens feel like they can be safe in where they eat and drink in establishments. So the city's had, several unexpected setbacks these past few years, as we've all heard in the press, we've heard up here, and we're all, going to always have some of those. We're human. But what we got to do is continue to look forward. How can we learn from those mistakes? How can we be better for the community? And that's what we need to work for, is not just focus on what mistakes we made, but what can we do to help them from happening in the future. Of course, there's been some personnel issues and business issues, and some changes, as we talked about. And so that makes it challenging. The list that I've talked about here so far of things that happened have taken a lot of hard work by many people. City council is obviously one of them. City staff is another. But there's also other people. There's employees. There's volunteers in the city and everything else that throughout the city that help us move forward. And so it takes a lot of hard work. But a lot of this sometimes is behind the scenes that we don't see. And that's part of the reason I wanted to bring it up, is that when you see a shovel dirt being thrown, we see it. When you see something, I guess, a new business opening up, we see it. But there's a lot of things it takes the city to run that we don't see. To process payroll, people don't see it. Or to keep health benefits for our employees. Or to keep them well with the wellness centers and everything else. A lot of people don't see that, and I wanted to bring that forth, that there are a number of things that happen besides some of the things that the citizens say, what about snow shoveled and that sort of thing. It's a combination. It's not the only thing that the city has to do. Not defending them or anything else, but there is a lot to make it happen. The state has not helped some issues. The state last July notified us that they were going to be holding some money back. Not holding back, eliminating some money. The taxes that businesses pay, reinvestment tax, they eliminated. $1.2 million roughly, $1.1 million they eliminated. Made it tough on our budget. As most of you know, we, of course, sat up here, and citizens out there listening, we had a major issues to overcome to make this balanced budget. We had $5 million at the start of the budget, a gap. We cut $4 million of expenses. We still couldn't come up with that million, which is what the state shorted us on. And we unfortunately had to raise taxes to help bridge that gap. And we hope that we can try to alleviate that from happening in the future. But we need to keep everything sound. But if we wish to, I think it would be wise to contact state legislators and people in that direction instead of saying you hurt the cities when you do these things, especially unannounced, short noticed, so to speak. And that can make a big difference. And so we need to work with that part of it. City revenues have been flat at best. It makes it very difficult. Expenses have been going up. The city's made commitments for pay raises and everything else. Back, you did do it several years in advance. So you can't get that crystal ball out and see all what's the future's going to bring. And so there are some of those we're having to deal with, and we'll deal with for the next several years until this council can deal with it. But so it's a combination of, we have some issues with flat revenues and expenses going up, almost like any household. It's no different. Police and fire pension has been a huge burden on the city. And I don't throw the burden on the police and firemen. Number one, a promise made should be a promise kept. And when these commitments were made, some of these commitments were made, things were different. But we need to work on them. We need to talk to our state legislators and say, in the future, we have some issues. Live up with the commitment we've made, but let's take a look and make sure that we can afford some of these things in the future. And so those have put an extremely hard burden on the city. And the city does not, I'll say, negotiate those or deal with that. It's done by the state, but the city has to pay the bill. And it should be whoever pays the bill has to deal with how it's negotiated. But so that's a problem and an issue with the city. Of course, we talked about the expense for the water filtration project in the next several years. So people in the city here have been working very hard to try to control expenses. We want to continue to try to do that in 18. We will, once again, everybody says, well, didn't you try it in 17? Well, sometimes you can't think of everything. Things change. The environment changes. And so I really want to make the vision of 2018 to continue that and work on how productive we can be and work on controlling costs. The city, as I mentioned before, is financially stable. We're paying our bills. The bond payments are getting made. We have cash in the bank to be able to handle emergencies. And we have a good rating. We don't want to be like the state And once again, it's a vicious circle down when you get that bond rating to drop and you pay high interest when you need to finance things. And so we want to keep and need to keep the city on a very financially stable platform to be able to work in the future and progress. Rebuilding relationships and partnerships with other cities and public entities, private entities. Over the last several years, there's been some tension between some cities. We want to rebuild that and strengthen that and work together with them. We've got a good relationship with a number of them. I, as a mayor, meet with all the other mayors on a monthly basis. City manager meets with the other city managers on a monthly basis. And as you heard me talk earlier, a lot of the department heads meet with other cities because they're partnering with them and everything else. So we're continuing to work on those partnerships, but you never can't let your guard down or be lax about that. We need to continue in working and sharing resources with other cities. And I give the example, it just came up recently, and salt and that sort of thing, and snow, is that the school district is purchasing salt from the city of Rock Island. Saves them money, helps us, and so, once again, partnering together. So we're going to continue to work with other cities. So enough of 2017. We need to move on to 2018 and those visions. And those visions are to work with small and medium-sized businesses. Now, there's large businesses out there too, and we need to work with them and everything else. But Rock Island, at this point, is not a big box city. We're more of a regional, local type of a city, whether it be with retail, whether it be with existing businesses. And so we need to try to attract that, work with our strengths. We have great diversity in the city of Rock Island, and so let's work with it. And let's not try to be the Me Too's like the other cities. They see these big boxes and it's great and everything else, and the sales tax is great, but it's difficult to attract. They already have that. Attract those businesses and everything else. So let's work on something different and be our own. And so I think that's very important. Not only bringing in new ones, but helping the existing ones grow. 80% of growth, it typically is with the existing businesses. And so we need to help the existing ones grow. And so with that, we are looking to hire in a new position, as most of the people in City Council here know, but the citizens and everything else, is a small business, or I'm trying to remember the title, but small business development individual to go around and visit with the existing businesses and to work with and be the liaison for the city on new small and medium-sized businesses coming into town. Knowing where properties are, knowing what rents are, helping establish maybe some financing with different organizations. Whatever the relationship needs, we want to be there. And so this individual would be set up to be able to do that. And we want to be, once again, not only meet expectations of someone coming to town, but try to exceed them. Sometimes it's typically not for a city to get involved in how you're doing financing and everything else. You got to be watching liabilities, but it doesn't mean we can't help them get a list of people or knocking on doors, pointing them in the right direction. We need to think differently with these. We need to begin plans for residential. Obviously, we hear about the state of Illinois losing people and everything else. Doesn't mean we have to follow the trend. And we need to be prepared for the opportunity to have, if someone comes along, in some new housing. Southwest Rock Island leads itself to that. And so that's the opportunity. So we need to maybe work on some plans in 2018. If we can get there, that's great. If not, at least we got the plans put together. We got infill that we can work with. We got downtown properties we can work with to continue to build a plan and bring in more residents to Rock Island. Engaging existing, going back to the committees and commissions and everything else, engaging those people more. I mentioned earlier, and we're revitalizing some of those, changing some of the formats and rules that we play by. But we're also adding two of them, at least immediately, potentially a third one. One being the Advanced Sustainability and Technology Task Force, and working with the city and bringing in expertise from throughout the city of Rock Island, and how the city's properties, for example, could be more efficient with sustainability. LED lights are the obvious, and people always talk about that, but there's a lot more and a lot deeper that we can work with. So reestablishing that, we hope to have our first meeting to the people put in place in the mid to end of January here, have the first meeting with that group. Another one is the multimodal task force. Used to be the bicycle. It's basically talking about bikeable, walkable, busable type of facilities and modes. And that task force should hopefully be starting sometime in February to begin its tasks and working. And then along with rejuvenating some others, I'd like to start again, so we've talked about a little bit here, small businesses getting together and having a committee or task force and working with what some of their needs are and group it together. So that might be another one. By the way, I did add up. We have over 30 committees and boards in the city of Rock Island. Now, at first I'm thinking, boy, that's a lot. Is it a problem? No, it's called community involvement. There's over 160 people that volunteer their time on those committees and boards. And that is great to see. You know, we talked about earlier and over the years, the people in the city of Rock Island committed, and that shows commitment. Not all of them live in the city, but a good majority of them live in the city of Rock Island. The ones that don't are committed to Rock Island and have businesses or whatever. And so it was a great thing to see of that involvement of people in good number. And so we want to continue that and strengthen it. Of course, once again, continue to build new relationships and partners with private entities. You know, there's nothing saying we can't, why not create more, get more private. There's private that we've worked with schools, some private schools, some businesses, but we can expand that with other businesses. And the businesses invest in their city also. And so we need to work on those relationships and say, let's do this together with private businesses. Another great involvement with the community. We didn't go out and hire a consultant, and everything else was streetscaping. We've done a great job of getting the community involved and trying to get a master plan put together, primarily at this point downtown, of what we want to see. What type of sidewalks, what type of lights, benches, activities going on, etc. There's another meeting, I think, this Wednesday in regards to this. And getting the input from the citizens, input from the staff that has some expertise in it, and building this together. And then it's a long-term plan. It takes money, it takes time, but if you have a master plan, you can work it, and you'll work it whether it be a block at a time and put it together. Right now, unfortunately, we have a little hodgepodge of stuff out there that we need to clean up. So that's a majority of what's going on. And the last thing I want to do is make it a call to action. You see the State of the Union addresses, and sometimes the state type deal, they have a call to action type deal and want somebody to do something. So my call to action is I'll say it mostly for the citizens, and the citizens of Rock Island, but citizens of Quad Cities. Because the Rock Island does not stand alone. We are here for the city of Rock Island and need to benefit the city of Rock Island. But by golly, we really need the whole Quad Cities together. And so I might call to action to the people in the city is to help bring new businesses in and help them grow. And one is if you have a neighbor, yourself, a friend that is thinking about moving here and growing their business, wanting to do something different, start something up, bring them forth, help them. We have some staff. There's a lot of community organizations that can help and work with. And so the city, it's not just the burden on the city to do these things and say, oh, did you bring this company in or did you talk to that one? That's part of the role of the city, of the CED department. But, you know, it helps with leads. It helps with conversation. Now, we don't want to rob businesses or from other cities around the Quad Cities. That doesn't prove or gain anything. We want things, new jobs, new creations. Whether it be entrepreneurs starting something up, whether it be a contractor you use, a supplier you have, whatever it may be, or just an out-of-town friend or whatever, say, how about opening something up in the Rock Island? So that's the first call to order, and bring them to us. We'll help you follow it up. The other is, let's talk positive. There's a lot of positive things happening in the city of Rock Island. Once again, in the Quad Cities. I'm a Quad City person also. But there's a lot of positive things happen. Look at the events that are going on. We talked about earlier, I think they mentioned the Kiwanis deal about dueling pianos at the establishment in Rock Island, a great event to go to. And the Circa 21, and I really hate to start naming things because you forget some, you leave some out, and people get offended. But there's a lot of great things happening. Botanical Center, the Hallberg Center in Christmas. Go in and look in the lights. There's a lot of positive things, if you really look at it, going on almost every weekend in the Quad Cities. Art shows, etc. And so let's talk about those. Let's play those up. Let's work with our, not the people here, but our friends, people visiting and tourism, and talk positive. Talking negative doesn't help. And it's so much easier to talk negative. It's harder to talk positive sometimes. But boy, does it bring positive results. And so I guess those are my call to actions to people. The other is, support local. You know, it's always easy, the Amazon.coms, it was cheaper, came to my door, it's raining out. But let's use local. Not talking just retail, but, you know, accountants and laundromats and whatever it is. The services out there, there's a lot of good local services to use. And so let's try to use local services the best we can and support the businesses that are here in Rock Island, and if not in Rock Island, in the Quad Cities. So that's another call to action I guess I have. So, you know, sometimes these things take time. Development doesn't happen overnight. Retail, everybody says you got this big empty spot and you got that one, and how come you don't have it filled yet? I'm learning more and more as my 250 days in the position that these things take time, unfortunately. Retailers just don't make the decision that just because you said so. They have a lot of competition for money, incentives, etc. And so they do take time. So we need to have patience, but persistence, I guess, is where I go. So once again, I want to say thank you to everybody for their time, their commitment, and their role that they play in the city of Rock Island.
Thank you, Mayor, for your inspiring comments.
And I forgot this little part, but this is more fun. Someone was working at City Hall down here, downstairs in the basement, and they found this paper, May 19th of 1964. I might have said 94 earlier, but 64. And it's interesting, this whole section is on the city report. And it talks about blight and police reports and all different kinds of things. In there you read the councilman's, there are some of their comments, and they talk about, boy, we need to eliminate some street projects because money's tight. And we need to work on getting rid of some blight because there's some blight and everything else. And so since 64, or 63, 64 as was reported, this is before the flood wall out here and et cetera, but some of the things haven't changed. And it's not because the people before us ignored them. It's because some things don't change. They evolve. Things do get older. Things don't get taken care of. And we need to take care of them eventually. And so I bring it up for that reason, not because of the year it is or anything else. It's just coincidence fell on my desk that, by golly, you know, someone's going to be here 10 years from now and they're saying we need to work on blight and we need to work on streets and everything else. And yes, we do. But long as we continue to move forward and think positive, we're going to keep getting there and making it a better place. So thank you. I'm sorry. All right. I get to keep talking. We have number 8.
Proclamation declaring January 15, 2018 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Jerry, I think you're going to come up and accept this. We have here, whereas Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life and career to the advancement of civil rights, equal treatment, and human decency of all people, and whereas the efforts of Dr. King and many others involved in the civil rights movement have helped to break down the walls of injustice and allow African Americans and other minorities to succeed both as individuals and as members of society. And whereas the goals and ideals of Dr. King have not yet been fully realized, with that in mind, it is our duty as Americans to continue his struggle and to work toward a more understanding and respectful society. And whereas Martin Luther King Jr. Day serves to bring people together in remembrance of this true American hero and encourages citizens to engage in community service, which in turn serves to honor Dr. King's legacy and advance the cause of justice and equality in America. Now, therefore, I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of City of Rock Island, proclaim January 15th as 2018 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the City of Rock Island, and encourage citizens to serve their fellow Americans and help to make this a better community, thereby providing a fitting memorial to the life of Dr. King Jr.
Thank you. So as you know, every year, We hold a memorial service for Dr. King at the Martin Luther King Center, and this year will be on the 15th for once, and that's a wonderful thing. So it'll be this coming Monday, starting at 10:30. We invite the entire community to be with us to share stories about the excellence that's occurring in our community with our youth and our citizens. So please, all are welcome to be there. It's totally free for all. We will start at 10:30, though I must warn you, people do start arriving at 9 o'clock to get a good seat. So come early if you wish. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jerry.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
As most of you know, last year I commented on this. As most people know, Dr. King died fighting for the sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee. As I said last year, I would work to get that day off for our sanitation workers. Well, I'm still working on that because these are union contracts and other things, but I believe that our sanitation workers should have that day off also. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9.
Proclamation declaring January 2018 as National Mentoring Month.
Okay, is there anybody here for that? There you go. Okay, well, you're more than welcome to step up there, whatever. We'll get through this, and you can say a few words. Whereas everyone remembers someone special, a neighbor, a teacher, relative, or friend, who broadened our horizons and brought purpose to our lives. And whereas these special individuals singled us out and volunteered their time to help us become engaged and stay on the right track to success. And whereas every adult has something to offer a child, and every child has something to offer to our community. And whereas research has shown that children engaged in healthy and safe one-to-one mentoring relationships are more likely to graduate high school, avoid incarnation, and avoid delinquent behavior. And whereas there are a significant number of vulnerable children in our community who need and want a positive role model in their lives. And whereas our city embraces the concept of engaging volunteers to mentor children of promise in our community. Now, therefore, I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of City of Rock Island, proclaim January 2018, as National Mentoring Month in the City of Rock Island, and encourage all citizens, businesses, public and private agencies, and religious and educational institutions to support mentoring and give young people in our community a gift of time and friendship through Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
Pull that down toward you.
Pull that down. There you go. Keep pulling. There you go.
There you go.
I would like to thank you for this award, proclamation thing. It's an honor to meet everybody in this room. It's my first time I will ever been in this room or at the City Hall. It was a nice experience. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the first time I heard someone giving a pledge over the city council. It was her.
That's great. Item number 10.
A special ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 6, Division 7, Section 2-289 of the Code of Ordinances, changing the monthly meeting date of the Sunset Marina Boaters Advisory Committee.
Motion to pass the ordinance?
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I would like to know why this is being changed.
Talk to Larry. He's Public Works is in charge of that.
I've been to some of the meetings, and it's in my ward. I was just curious.
Sure. In the past, it's always been on Thursdays, but with some of the operational changes with the marina due to budget cuts and trying to save some of the costs there, We're actually closing the marina offices on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so it made more sense to utilize city staff on Wednesdays when they're not having to operate the marina to be able to hold the Boarders Advisory Committee meetings.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, no other discussion. Could we have roll call, please?
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Thank you. Item number 11.
A special ordinance granting the reestablishment of a special use permit at 4510 42nd Avenue.
Motion to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
And move to second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan. 7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 12.
A special ordinance establishing a handicap parking space at 1212 9th Street.
Move to consider. Sorry.
Consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan. 7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 13.
A resolution urging the governor to veto Senate Bill 1451, Small Wireless Facilities Deployment Act.
Move to adopt the resolution?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah. I was the alderman that introduced this resolution to this body. I hope people do not mind. I would like to read both the resolutions so that those at home know what we're voting on, and then also a little bit about Senate Bill 1451. So either I can read it or Judith. I don't really mind, whoever does
I'd
it.
be happy to read it, Dylan.
You want to read it?
Yeah.
Have at it.
Resolution. A resolution of the City of Rock Island. Whereas the City of Rock Island supports the goal of ensuring reliable wireless services in our communities and the advancement of technology in the telecommunications industry, and whereas Senate Bill SB 1451 establishes the Small Wireless Facilities Deployment Act and severely limits municipal authority to regulate, cite, or charge permit fees for wireless facilities, and whereas SB 1451 permits a private business entity to use public right-of-way at a rate far below market value, distorting the private market for small wireless facilities, and whereas SB 1451 permits wireless providers and third parties who act as agents or contractors for wireless providers to locate telecommunications equipment with an antenna as large as 6 cubic feet in size and associated equipment up to 25 cubic feet in size on existing or new utility poles subject to minimal zoning regulations by the municipality. And whereas SB 1451 creates an automatic approval timeline which is one-sided and detrimental to the public, presuming that municipalities are negligent and providers, not when a permit is incomplete or inadequate. And whereas state legislators amended SB 1451 to exempt the city of Chicago in an effort to pass legislation, and whereas many municipalities have already enacted ordinances or are in the process of updating their codes to address small wireless facilities or are developing right-of-way use agreements with the industry, indicating that municipalities are making a significant effort to develop reasonable standards for the deployment of wireless facilities. And whereas Illinois municipalities are diverse and each one must be given the opportunity to develop reasonable regulations that will protect their specific needs. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Rock Island opposes SB 1451 as passed by the Illinois General Assembly and urges the governor to veto legislation. Be it further resolved that the City of Rock Island is committed to developing reasonable regulations for the development of wireless technology and is eager to work with stakeholders to develop regulations that ensure reliable wireless services while also preserving the rights of the municipality, property owners, and citizens.
Thank you, Alderman Ship. And then finally here, I would like to read the synopsis of the bill. This comes straight from the Illinois General Assembly's website. So, synopsis of SB 1451. Creates the Small Wireless Facilities Deployment Act, provides for the legislative intent for the act and definitions, provides that an authority, parentheses, a unit of local government with control over right-of-way, and parentheses, which is this body, may not prohibit, regulate, or charge for the collection of small wireless facilities, the installation, mounting, maintaining, modifying, operating, or replacement of small wireless facilities on or adjacent to a wireless support structure or utility pole, provides that small wireless facilities shall be classified as permitted uses and not subject to zoning review and approval under the specified circumstances, provides requirements for applications, fees, and applicant review and issuance of permits for collocations of small wireless facilities, provides that an authority may not require applications for routine maintenance or replacement of wireless facilities with wireless facilities that are substantially similar, of the same size or smaller, requires authorities to allow the collection of small wireless facilities on authority utility poles under the specified circumstances, prohibits authorities from regulating the design, engineering, construction, installation, or operation of any small wireless facility in specified circumstances, provides that a circuit court has jurisdiction to resolve all disputes arising under the Act, prohibits an authority from requiring a wireless provider to indemnify the authority or its officers or employees, and from naming the authority on a wireless provider's insurance policy, limits home rule powers, amends the county's code making conforming changes. It is my belief that the argument against SB 1451 from the perspective of a municipal leader is pretty obvious. In my opinion, this is a direct undermining of our authority as a home rule community, and while I welcome all development in the telecommunication industry here in Rock Island, it needs to be sure that it is under the responsible and responsive to the residents of this city way of going about developing. We don't just let things. You can do whatever you want, and you can not have a permit for that. That's irresponsible. And so I thought it was upon us to let the governor of this state know that we, a collection of elected officials from this city, object to this bill, and we are requesting that he vetoes it.
And Dylan, I have talked to state legislators. I've talked to previous city managers. We've looked into the long synopsis that you've read that somewhat could be confusing.
Oh, yeah.
And really, for those citizens out there, what it's doing is it's basically telling us as a city, we are unwilling to negotiate with you. We're going to tell you what we're going to do, and we're talking about special towers that will go above our utility poles. So whether it would look for cosmetic purposes or whether it would look for the best interests of the city, we don't care. And so the reason that we're asking the governor to veto this is that so that it will give some control. We're not asking for complete control. We're asking just for a place at the table to negotiate. And so you have my complete support to urge the governor to veto this. We are not the only municipality that is doing this. Peoria has done this. Other small towns have done this as well. And I think the louder that we come together as municipalities, hopefully our governor will realize what is in the best interest of the local municipalities. So that you have my support on this.
And Alderman Parker, I want to thank you for bringing this forward. When you read it and you hear one city in Illinois is being exempted from this and the rest of us just put up with it, I thank you for bringing this forward, and you have my support.
Thank you. And I would also like to request that if this resolution passes, we make sure that it gets sent to the governor's office.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, our city attorney, do you have any problems with what's been read off from Alderman Shep and Alderman Dillon as far as legalities and that?
Adopting a resolution it would not be the same as passing an ordinance saying that you would not abide by the law. So I don't, from a resolution standpoint, see a problem with it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Good. If we could have roll call, please, then.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 14.
Claims, A through C. A, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment number 3 in the amount of $60,597.20 to Langman Construction Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois for the 33rd Avenue Court reconstruction west of 17th Street project for services provided from December 1st, 2017 through December 21st, 2017. B, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment number 3 in the amount of $1,097,843.23 to Langman Construction Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois for the Outfall 6 Basin Separation Project for services provided from October 22nd, 2017 through December 1st, 2017. And C, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment number 3 in the amount of $101,416.50 to Civil Constructors Incorporated of East Moline, Illinois for the Water Filtration Facility Project for services provided from November 14, 2017 through December 11, 2017.
Motion to accept the reports and authorize payments for claims items A through C as recommended.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Due to the nature of my employment, I will be abstaining from this vote.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker abstain. Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 15.
Claims for the weeks of December 15th through December 21st in the amount of $1,230,996.95. December 22nd through December 28th in the amount of $18,230.37. And December 29th through January 4th in the amount of $456,904.33. And payroll for the weeks of December 4th through December 17th in the amount of $1,445,267.85, and December 18th through December 31st in the amount of $1,532,311.34.
Move to allow the claims and payroll.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 16.
ACH payments for the month of November 2017 in the amount of $1,587,296.68.
Move to approve the ACH payments.
Second.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 17.
Purchase card claims for the period from October 27, 2017 through November 26, 2017 in the amount of $64,493.97.
Move to approve the purchase card claims.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 18.
Report from the Human Resources Department regarding an ordinance prohibiting sexual harassment and recommending approval of the modified sexual harassment policy.
Motion to consider suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
And approve the modified policy as recommended.
And approve the modified policy as recommended.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 19.
Report from the Human Resources Department regarding a 1.83% general wage increase to non-affiliated employees effective January 1st, 2018.
Move to approve the general wage increase as recommended.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Does this include the library?
It does. The library is going back to their board here in the middle of the month to reconsider their previous request.
Okay.
I just wanted to comment that the general wage increase history, the chart that was in the packet, I thought was very informative and helpful.
Is it is it accessible easily enough to say the history? Is this less, more? Randy, perhaps you'd be.
You mean now?
Yes, this current.
If you could look sideways, it's on the screen.
Tilt it.
Well, I guess the comment that I would make is that from year to year, from 2009 up until some of the contracts go through 2020, the increases and decreases depending on a variety of conditions. I guess if you look at the annual average increase column, which is the fourth from the right, you can kind of get a sense of how the average has gone up and down for this particular general wage increase. So
Last year, 2017, it was 2.25. The year before that, it was 2.5, 3 before that. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that this is less.
Yes.
it is less, but and if you go all the way back to 2010, it was 1.56, and 2011 was 0.13%. So that's why I say just it has fluctuated.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just, we all get the criticisms of you're not cutting or whatever, and, well, we are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Berry.
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Collinaire.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 20.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding a request from Thomas Fitzpatrick on behalf of Storage of America to apply for a special use permit to operate an interior self-storage facility at 2832 5th Street.
Move to allow the application of the special use permit as recommended.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion?
I would just like to clarify that this is not granting Thomas Fitzpatrick, on behalf of Storage of America, the special use permit. It is just allowing him to apply for one. So that will come up later.
Did you have? I must have something to say.
I'm honored that it's me being able to apply, but I'm just wondering if it's more appropriate to have Storage of America make the application with my guidance as the Vice President of Development, or do you require to have a person to be the applicant? That's my only comment and concern. Thomas, by the way.
I can't tell you on the form. I would believe probably that they would want an authorized agent, but I can check into that for you to make sure. But you have to look at the form. Chandler, do you have a no? Okay, I don't have the form in front of me either, sir, but we'd be happy to answer that question for you.
Are you employed by Storage of America?
I'm the Vice President of Development for Storage of America.
Okay.
And in the application that I wrote, or the request, Storage of America, a company under contract with the existing property owner, is requesting permission to apply for a special use permit on the referenced property. So,
be as qualified as anyone else we've ever had apply for a special use permit. I mean,
I just, if it's appropriate.
We'll verify that and get back with you.
Talk to Chandler in the back there. And
pardon me?
Talk to Chandler Poole in the back.
Okay.
And he'll coordinate with you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for your interest.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make a comment for the public who might be watching from home. This is an application to apply for a special use permit for a storage area in an existing building in Rock Island that's partially occupied by 2 other businesses, but there is also additional space for a storage business. Is that right?
Correct.
So we appreciate your coming and applying. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion passes. Item 21.
Oh, can I ask, I'm sorry, can I ask one question, because I thought there might have been a typo on the letter, just for clarification. There was a number of points in the letter, and number 14 says that access via kiosk and keypad will be available to patrons 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. daily.
11 p.m.
It should be 11 p.m., is that
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so maybe that could be corrected in the document that we read in order to pass our motion.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing gets past Alderman Spargattis.
No, it doesn't.
21.
Report from the city clerk regarding an activity application and resolution for the American Heart Association Heart Walk on Saturday, May 19, 2018, from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Move to approve the event as recommended and adopt the resolution.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Brigettis.
Yes.
Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Schipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 22, other business.
I have one thing. When I sent out that resolution we just approved tonight to my fellow council members for consideration, at the same time or shortly thereafter or shortly before that, I'm not sure on the timeline, I also sent out a second resolution regarding the Supreme Court case Janus versus AFSCME Council 31. I've heard from a number of you, and I believe Randy and the mayor have also heard from a number of you, but if those that I haven't heard from or haven't spoken to the mayor or the city manager could do that, I would greatly appreciate it so that we can deliberate it.
Appreciate that. I have concerns about bringing up that type of an issue here at council. I'll say it's political and with agencies that we do business with and everything else. And so I have uncomfortable bringing a resolution forward with that, but that's up to the council. But I just will let know my feelings. I'm uncomfortable with that. I'm not sure if that's really city business to be involved with. So.
Sounds good.
Okay. I got two quick items. I know Mr. Geenan down there is anxious to get going. He's expecting a new child any moment. So when we meet again, he will be a new father. So if he needs to leave or leaves quick. But just real quick is planning, CED, Planning and Redevelopment meeting, is having a meeting. We talked about streetscaping at Theo's January 10th. I got here, we'll extend an invitation to join Wednesday, January 10th, 6 p.m. about streetscaping at Theo's. So just want to bring that up real quick. And just once again remind people about Martin Luther King Day at the Martin Luther King Center at 10:30 next Monday morning. So those are what I have. And once again, I'll say congratulations earlier to Mr. Geenan.
Bye, Dave. Chandler, quick question for you, if I could put you on the spot. The budget that we just passed, I know we had discussions about set-aside funds, matching funds for the organized community groups, our neighborhood associations. Did that money get plugged into the budget? The 10,000, that was an idea that was floated that
I think it did.
there was going to be
I believe
money.
it did.
Yeah, there's some money in the CIP, not specifically designated for what you're asking about, but for neighborhood organizations in general. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, yeah, because I know Ryan did a presentation at St. John's for the Keystone Neighborhood Association, and that was part of his PowerPoint, was talking about funds that would be available if the neighborhood association raised money that they could match it against city funds for.
Yeah, what that is, he's talking about the micro grant type programs that we want to have for the neighborhood, the established neighborhoods within the city of Rock Island.
Okay.
And that is part of our budget. I think it was $25,000, and that is part of that. The micro loan money is part of that line item.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm just an idea to share with council members, but I plan on using part of my representation funds to leverage that as a contribution to the neighborhood group and take advantage of that to double down. So bring it on. If you, the challenge is on. No, but I think it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
You know, banners, benches,
Signage.
there's a lot of good you could do with your neighborhood association. So I appreciate you guys having that foresight to put that in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carry the tradition. Any other comments? And none. Item 23.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?